The storm had arrived suddenly, as if nature itself had grown angry. Rain lashed against the windows, and thunder rumbled like a distant freight train. I had just settled in for a cozy evening at home, my husband away on a business trip, leaving me alone with our two cats, Whiskers and Luna. The power had gone out hours ago, plunging our quiet suburban neighborhood into darkness. Armed with a flashlight and a book, I had decided to ride out the storm by reading in bed. As the rain beat against the roof, I lost myself in the pages of my novel. Around midnight, I heard the first strange noise, a faint tapping, like something brushing against a window. I paused, my heart quickening. I chalked it up to the storm's fury, the wind rattling branches against the glass. But then it came again, a distinct tap on the window pane. I put my book aside, clicked on the flashlight, and cautiously made my way to the living room. The tapping had grown louder, more insistent. Luna and Whiskers, my faithful feline companions, had hidden themselves away, sensing something amiss. I peered through the living room curtains, my flashlight illuminating the rain-soaked yard. At first, I saw nothing but the storm's fury, but then, in the dim light, I spotted a silhouette, a person standing near the edge of the yard, their back to me. Fear gripped me, and I fumbled for my phone to dial 911. As I whispered my address to the operator, I watched the intruder, their presence ominous in the darkness. They seemed to be muttering to themselves, an eerie monologue carried away by the wind. The police promised to send a patrol car, but with the storm wreaking havoc across the city, I knew it would take time. My heart pounded as I watched the intruder move closer to the house, their face still hidden. With trembling hands, I checked the locks on all the doors and windows. Luna and Whiskers had found refuge beneath the bed, their eyes wide with fear. I joined them in the bedroom, my flashlight trained on the door. Minutes turned into hours as I listened to the intruder's mumblings and the relentless storm outside. It felt like a nightmare, the shadows dancing eerily on the walls. The minutes dragged on, my anxiety growing with each passing second. Finally, the distant wail of sirens broke through the storm's cacophony. Relief washed over me as the police arrived, their flashlights cutting through the darkness. I watched as they apprehended the intruder, who seemed disoriented and unstable. The officers assured me that they would take it from here, and I provided a statement before they took the intruder away. They explained that the individual appeared to be suffering from mental health issues and had likely wandered into the yard seeking shelter from the storm. As the police departed, leaving behind the still raging tempest, I felt a mixture of relief and exhaustion. The night had been a harrowing ordeal, and it had revealed a vulnerability I had never truly considered, being home alone during a crisis. Over the following days, my husband and I installed a security system and reinforced our home's defenses. We also discussed the importance of emergency preparedness and having a plan in place for situations like this. The storm had been a stark reminder that unexpected events could happen at any time, and it was crucial to be ready. As for Luna and Whiskers, they eventually emerged from their hiding spots, their feline curiosity returning. Life in our cozy suburban home gradually returned to normal, but the memory of that stormy night and the intruder in the darkness would forever serve as a reminder of the importance of vigilance and preparedness in the face of the unexpected. The house was supposed to be mine for the weekend, a rare opportunity for solitude and relaxation. My parents had gone on a much-needed getaway, leaving me, a 26-year-old grad student, with strict instructions to enjoy my break and look after the place. It was a quaint, two-story cottage nestled in the woods, far from the bustle of the city. The solitude was both a blessing and a curse. I welcomed the peace and quiet, but couldn't help but feel a little spooked by the forest that surrounded me. My parents reassured me, reminding me that our neighbors were just a short drive away if I needed anything. On the first night alone, I decided to make the most of it. I curled up with a book, a glass of wine, and the gentle crackling of the fireplace. The warmth and comfort of the cottage eased my initial apprehension. The night outside grew darker, the only source of light coming from the moon filtering through the trees. Around midnight, as I was preparing to head to bed, I heard something, a faint tapping, like fingernails on glass. I froze, my heart racing, and listened intently. The sound continued, irregular but persistent. My first thought was an animal, perhaps a raccoon or a bird, but it didn't quite match. Carefully, I made my way to the living room window, where the sound seemed to be coming from. I pulled back the curtain and shone my flashlight outside. What I saw made my blood run cold. There, standing just beyond the glass, was a man. His face was partially obscured by a hood, but his eyes were fixed on me. Panic set in, and I fumbled to dial 911, my trembling fingers making the task difficult. As I spoke with the operator, I could feel the intruder's gaze drilling into me. The dispatcher assured me that the police were on their way, but it felt like an eternity as I waited in terrified silence. The tapping continued, and the intruder's lips moved, forming words I couldn't hear through the glass. Finally, the distant wailing of sirens filled the air, and the intruder fled into the woods. The police arrived, searching the area but finding no trace of the mysterious man. They assured me they would patrol the area throughout the night. Shaken but grateful for the police's presence, I spent the rest of the night with all the lights on, my anxiety making sleep impossible. In the morning, my parents returned early, having heard about the unsettling incident. We decided it was best for me to stay with them until they could install a security system. The days that followed were filled with anxiety, wondering who the intruder was and why he had targeted our home. The police continued their investigation but found no leads. Weeks turned into months, and life gradually returned to normal. The security system was in place, and I had resumed my studies, but the unease lingered, a constant reminder that the sanctity of our home could be violated. One afternoon, as I was studying at the kitchen table, a news report caught my attention. It was about a series of break-ins in the area, all involving young women living alone. The description of the intruder sent a chill down my spine. It matched the man I had seen outside my window. I contacted the police, sharing what I knew, and they intensified their efforts to catch the perpetrator. It was a harrowing experience, knowing that I had come face to face with a criminal who had targeted others. Months later, I received a call from the police, informing me that they had apprehended the intruder. He was a drifter with a history of break-ins and violent tendencies. Knowing that he was behind bars brought some closure, but the sense of violation and vulnerability remained. My parents and I took additional security measures, and I learned the importance of self-defense. The experience changed me, making me more cautious and vigilant. Home, once a place of safety and comfort, now carried the scars of that fateful night. As I sat in the living room, looking out at the tranquil woods, I couldn't help but wonder how different my life would have been if I hadn't heard that tapping on the window or if the police hadn't arrived in time. It was a chilling reminder that sometimes, when you're home alone, the darkness beyond the glass holds secrets that you never want to uncover. It was an ordinary Saturday afternoon when Emily's parents left for a weekend getaway, leaving their 16-year-old daughter home alone. They had made these trips before, trusting Emily's maturity and responsibility. Her father reminded her to lock all the doors and windows, not to open the door for strangers, and, most importantly, not to invite any friends over in their absence. With her parents' departure, Emily settled into the quiet house. She enjoyed the solitude and planned to spend her weekend reading, catching up on schoolwork, and maybe even indulging in some guilty pleasure TV shows. The day passed uneventfully, and as evening descended, Emily decided to order pizza for dinner, a small rebellion against her parents' no friends over rule. As she enjoyed her pizza and watched a movie, Emily's phone chimed with a message from her best friend, Sarah. Sarah had heard that Emily's parents were away and wanted to come over for a movie night. Tempted but knowing the rules, Emily replied, "Sorry, maybe next time. My parents were pretty clear about no friends over this weekend." Emily's phone buzzed again, indicating a new message. It was from an unknown number, and the message simply read, "I'm here." She assumed it was a wrong number or a prank and ignored it. However, moments later, another message arrived, this one with a chilling tone, alone and vulnerable. "Your parents won't save you." Panic surged through Emily. She checked all the doors and windows to make sure they were locked. Her heart pounded as she realized she hadn't double-checked earlier. She texted her parents to let them know about the messages, and her father replied, telling her to call the police immediately. They would cut their trip short and return home. Trembling, Emily called 911 and explained the situation. The dispatcher assured her that an officer was on the way, but those minutes waiting felt like an eternity. She received more messages from the unknown number, each more sinister than the last. As she sat in her darkened living room, Emily heard a faint noise coming from the backyard. It was a slow, deliberate tapping sound, like fingernails on glass. She dared not move. The dispatcher stayed on the line, providing what little comfort she could. The tapping grew louder, closer, Emily's heart raced as she realized the source. It was the back door. She had forgotten to lock it. With trembling hands, she whispered to the dispatcher that someone was trying to get in. Moments later, Emily heard a voice, soft but menacing, coming from the other side of the door. "Let me in, Emily," the voice hissed. "I just want to talk." Tears streamed down her face as she refused and told the dispatcher what was happening. The dispatcher urged her to stay quiet and keep her phone line open, assuring her that the police were almost there. Emily heard the back door rattle, and she knew the intruder was trying to force his way in. She pushed a heavy bookshelf in front of the door, doing her best to barricade it. The dispatcher continued to talk to her, offering words of encouragement and support. Minutes later, the sound of sirens pierced the night, and Emily's heart leaped with relief. The police had arrived. The intruder must have heard them too, because the tapping stopped, and the voice grew silent. The officers searched the premises, but the intruder had disappeared into the night. Emily's parents arrived soon after, shaken but grateful that their daughter was unharmed. The police launched an investigation into the disturbing messages and the attempted break-in. They traced the phone number to a disposable prepaid phone, a dead end in their search for the perpetrator. Life slowly returned to normal for Emily and her family, but the incident left emotional scars that would never fully heal. They installed a security system and strengthened their home's defenses. Emily became more cautious about sharing personal information online and learned the importance of maintaining her privacy. The identity of the unknown assailant remained a mystery, a reminder that sometimes, when you're home alone, the line between safety and danger can blur in an instant, and the silent darkness can hold terrifying secrets.